What's up everybody, welcome back to a brand new video on Lexalexus. Today we've got championship score predictions for match day 34. 12 games to predict. To start things off, the Premier League predictions are going to be right there on the screen. So I will leave them there as I finish this intro. We've got some really big games actually at the top of the table, which I am intrigued to see the outcome of. And guys, make sure you predict the Premier League and the Championship games in the comments down below, as the prediction leagues for both of those leagues are really hotting up and getting ultra competitive. And you guys, any one of you can join this league whenever you like. Just simply comment your predictions in the comments down below and you will automatically be entered. If you guys like what you see, please give the video a like. It does tremendously help. As you can see, the target is 30 likes. That will be amazing if we can get there. Please do hit the subscribe button if you've not done so either, as we're trying to push to 2,000 subscribers as soon as we can. My socials are down there, just in case you want to give me a follow as well in any social medias. But without any further ado, let's start predicting the championship games and uncover the latest championship news. First game to predict is Coventry versus Sunderland. Now, what I like about all of these games is that these are basically the reverse fixtures of the first game week of the season. And I've got good memories because Sunderland versus Coventry, I believe, was actually my first watch-along of the 2022-23 season. And obviously, since then, we've not been disappointed with the football that we've had in store. Coventry, great form right now, 2 wins in a row, and if they do win, they really give themselves an increased chance of getting into the top 6, especially as they're only 4 points behind Sunderland. They can definitely close that gap onto 1. Sunderland fell short in midweek. They lost out to Rotherham by 2-1, despite Sunderland fighting to get an equaliser and getting many chances and potentially having a bad decision pulled against them near the end. It still shows to me that maybe they're just a little bit light in options going forward. But Joe Gelhardt looks very, very good. He's got a lot of potential. I've always been a fan of him at Leeds, and I'm hoping here he can definitely have a big breakthrough and potentially help Sunderland go through the rest of the season. With this game, I think it's going to be a tight one. Coventry have been keeping loads of clean sheets lately as well, so potentially not many goals will be in this one. Reverse fixture was 1-1, and I'm thinking it might be a similar case here. I'm actually going to go for a 1-1 draw as well. I can't edge any of the teams, but I wouldn't be surprised if any of them do get a result. I'm going to go 1-1. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Next game to predict is Birmingham against Luton Town. So I always remember about this game with Birmingham actually having a decent record against this Luton Town team. So obviously with Birmingham recently, they've had 3 defeats in a row. So it's not been a great form for Birmingham at all. And they lost out in midweek against Norwich by 3-1. Pretty convincing defeat in the end. That Nunez wonder volley was unbelievable. But it really did kill Birmingham's confidence and momentum. In fact, they thought they could get something. They did rally a little bit in the second half, but by that time the damage was already done. And when Norwich strike early and they can really get into the gears, it's very difficult to manage the game against them. But basically, Luton Town team, who have not picked up too many points, they've had 2 draws and a defeat in their last 3 games. But I do think they were quite unlucky for all of those games, actually. The draw against Preston, they were really good, and they ultimately gave 1 chance away to Preston and lost out on 2 points there. And against Burnley, where they lost by 1-0, they were ultimately denied with a penalty decision, and they were down to 10 men. So when they tried to chase for an equaliser, they really were limited to do that there. So I do think Luton with this game will be looking to try and bounce back, especially with their high position in the table so far. Birmingham, though, do have a good record against them, so I'm very tempted actually to predict a good result for Birmingham. But on the other hand, I think with the squad, the confidence, and what we're seeing with Luton at the moment, I think it should take them over the line in this game. So as a prediction, I'm going to go for a 2-1 away victory to Luton Town. But I'm definitely not writing Birmingham off. They could definitely get something in this game. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Next game today is Bristol City versus Hull. So Bristol City have actually got a really good unbeaten run at the moment. They are 8 games unbeaten, which is a brilliant streak for Bristol City this season. They've not had a longer unbeaten streak like this since the start of the season, where they started quite well. A whole team they faced where they've been struggling a little bit with their form, a tiny dip on them. They're winless in their last 3 games, and definitely one thing I've noticed as well is them struggling to score goals. In their last game they drew 0-0 with Preston, with only having 4 shots, I believe, with 10 shots in total in that game. So it's looking like that Hull are struggling to get that attacking momentum at the moment, and I think what it needs is one good moment where they can take their chance, and I think this team will click again, because I could definitely see, in terms of an organisational point of view, they are definitely shipping less goals, which is a really good thing that Rosenior is working on. But against a Bristol City team where, despite them getting pegged back by so many injuries, they're still able to find a way to bounce back, stay unbeaten. Great character for them to get a last-minute equaliser against Sunderland as well. I think Bristol City, with their good form, I think they can still get a win in this game. So as a prediction, I'm going to go for a 1-0 win to Bristol City. I don't see this game being filled with too many goals. As I said, Hull have been really improving at the back. So I think it'll be a low-scoring game. But I think Bristol City will go through with a 1-0 win. Let me know what you think of that in the comments down below. The next game to predict is Burnley versus Huddersfield. So I'm intrigued about this one more than anything. Burnley in midweek, they lost out on 3 points after drawing with Millwall. So it felt a bit strange to me seeing Burnley fans critique this Burnley side when they drew, considering the gap that they've got, and the fact that they can still get up to 112 points if they win all their games is outrageous in itself. And I think you've got to remember about the competition that they've already set with themselves. They've been, by and large, the most consistent team in the league, and I think they, more than anyone, could get away with one below par game, and I felt this one was. But I think we shouldn't discredit Millwall. I think they've been really good this season. I think the balance is definitely better. There's definitely more of an identity, the way they play when they transition from defence, and seeing their attacking players, either a Vogelsammer, either potentially a Bradshaw, who's really been coming in his own quite recently, scoring a hat-trick in the last weekend game with that massive 3-2 victory over Sheffield United. But going back to Burnley, going on a bit of a tangent about Millwall there, I do think they are set up properly for this game against a Huddersfield team who won their first home game with Neil Warnock in charge. I think this is a really tough test for Warnock, I've got to be honest. And for me, I expect Burnley, with the players that they've got, to not quite brush Huddersfield aside, but I think they've got the quality and the perseverance to get a result. As a prediction, I think it'll be a brave performance by Huddersfield, but I think it's going to be a 2-0 victory to Burnley. And Burnley, with their home form, have been very consistent all year. I'm going to go 2-0 Burnley, but if Huddersfield somehow get something, fair bloody play to them, because they really need the points more than ever following the position that they're currently in. Next up is Norwich City versus Cardiff City. Both teams improving their form in recent games, so Norwich picking up 2 home wins in a row, both wins by 3-1, so a bit of a pattern emerging in their recent home games at least. Cardiff in general have picked up back-to-back wins, and what that's done for them is that it's actually increased the space that they've got between the bottom 3 and where they're currently sitting, which is 21st. They've actually fallen down a place since Rotherham won in midweek. Rotherham and Cardiff have now played the same matter of games. So it's now really down to Cardiff to see if they can compete with the teams just above them and can still maintain that space from the bottom 3. And considering when we think about Huddersfield and Blackpool winning in their last weekend game, I think Cardiff definitely going to make sure that they're not too complacent. But I think against a Norwich team, for what we've seen attacking wise, what we've saw against Birmingham, if they can get a really good early goal and they can definitely find options to fulfill the injuries that they got in their forwards, I do think Norwich still have the attacking prowess that I think a lot of people are kind of undermined a little bit. And I think David Wagner is slowly but surely starting to get this team back to where it should be. But I definitely think it's going to take a lot of time for this Norwich team to click with that level of consistency that we're used to. A bit similar for what we've seen with Burnley this year. As a prediction for this game, I think it'll be close, to be honest. I think Cardiff will set up to try and not lose the game, potentially grind out for a draw, or maybe get one chance of the counter-attack or a penalty, let's say, or set piece. But I think it will be a tough game, a tight game, and it will end with a 1-0 win to Norwich. I don't see many goals in this one. I think Cardiff will make it very challenging for Norwich. I'm going to say 1-0 fair fought. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Another game which I think will be very quiet is Preston versus Wigan. So we've got a bit of a local derby between these two teams. Preston's home form has been disastrous this year. Wigan have actually stayed on a little bit of an unbeaten run since Sean Maloney has taken in charge of Wigan's position there. 4 games they've played with him in charge, 3 draws, 1 win. But if they really need to win, it's a game like this. And I remember at the start of the season where Wigan actually were doing relatively well away from home. But that really has tailed off quite recently. And I think with Preston, with how poor they've been at home, they don't really look like that they're improving anytime soon with their attacking play. Wigan, if they do dominate that midfield, which is something that they've been trying to do with more physicality in that position, I genuinely do think Wigan could get something here. As a prediction, I might be a bit bold predicting this, but I'm actually going to go for a 1-0 away victory to Wigan. I wouldn't be surprised if Preston go back to winning ways in this game, but do not take your eyes off Wigan. I definitely think they've got a chance. I'm going to go 1-0 to the side in the relegation zone who really need a win right now. Let me know what you think in the comments down below for this game. Should be a good one though. Next game to predict is QPR versus Blackburn. So the big news this week is Neil Critchley was dismissed as QPR manager after only 12 games. I did talk about it in my championship review, and it was a mad one. All we were thinking who was going to take over as QPR boss. And I've got to say, fair play to the board. They were very quick this time at getting a manager in, a much quicker process that we saw between the process of Mick Beale and Neil Critchley there. So the manager taking over QPR is Gareth Ainsworth, and honestly one of the most likeable managers in the league. Definitely not the most likeable ways in terms of football, but in terms of the person and how he commands himself, one of the most likeable managers in the league. He's already had championship experience, of course, having that one miracle season in the championship with Wycombe. Now he's got the chance to have a team who can compete in the championship level, and he actually gave Wycombe a really good chance when to survive in the championship when he was manager of the championship in that one season there. So I will be intrigued to see if he can transition to his Wycombe-esque set piece heavy style as quickly as QPR are normally used to, because they were definitely playing with a little bit more expansiveness, if I'm making up a word now, when they were playing under the Beale and Critchley way. So I do think that transition is going to be quite difficult for them and could take a couple of games for it. Blackburn have gone a bit of an unbeaten run as well, and for the fact of that Blackburn have now climbed back into the top 6. A very good win for them in midweek as well, picking up a now 1-0 victory against Blackpool. As a prediction for this game, I think it's going to be a 1-1 draw. I think QPR will have a small response with a new manager coming in, having a small bounce, but I do think there will be mistakes along the way, and then I think Blackburn will capitalise on that, and they've been doing a little bit well with their goal scoring form quite recently, Blackburn. So I'll go for a 1-1 draw in this one and compromise for the result. Let me know what you think of that in the comments down below. Next game today is Reading versus Blackpool. So I think this is a really interesting game near the bottom of the table. Reading, for me, are not quite in this scenario where they're dragged into the relegation picture yet, but if they lose this game, you've got to be honest, they are not million miles away from getting dragged into that conversation, especially if Rotherham and Cardiff start picking up points again. I really do think they've got to be really careful, Reading, that they're not staying too complacent. They are past the 40-point mark, but when you consider, the amount of teams in this season that are already amassing at least 1 point a game, actually all the way down to 21st, you're seeing teams amassing at least 1 point a game. So I definitely think Reading got to be a tiny bit careful. This could be a good time, though, just to state a statement that they are not going to be a team fighting relegation this season. And Blackpool had a bad game against Blackburn with a 1-0 defeat. And if they lose again in this game here, it will be quite demoralising. And I think it will be a bit of a tough moment for them, considering it's two relatively okay games that they could have played and got results in, but they've not done so. So Mick McCarthy really needs to work some miracles here, but I think it'll be a Reading win, I'm going to go 2-1 to Reading. I think it's going to be a tight game, but I wouldn't be surprised if it involves Reading being able to get a commanding lead and then Blackpool try and rally forward, but they hold on. I'm going to go 2-1 Reading for this one, just from the squad and what they've got going forward. Let me know what you think of that in the comments down below. The next game to predict after Reading and Blackpool is Sheffield United Watford. So this was one of the games I was talking about being very interested with, the games played at the top of the table, and this is one of them here. A Sheffield United team was still in second, but right now they can get that gap really closed off if they do lose this game and Middlesbrough win their game against West Brom. Watford picked up a really good win actually in Monday night against West Brom. A bonkers 5-goal thriller to say the least, but it's Watford that do pick up the 3 points, and despite defensively not being at their best, they found a way to pick up 3 points and 3 goals against a relatively, what was previously a good West Brom defence. So I think Sheffield United and Watford will play a decent game here. As a prediction, however, for this game, I think Sheffield United will look at this game thinking if they can get something here, they will be in a really good position, and this could be the perfect opportunity for them to bounce back after losing back-to-back games. I'm going to go for a 2-1 victory to Sheffield United. I think it's going to be a 2-1, but I've not decided which one to give it to, and in the end, I've just edged it to Sheffield United being at home and the resources that they got. But there's no doubt in my mind, West Brom or Watford, all those teams can definitely beat any team on their day. And I think Sheffield United will edge out slightly. But let me know what you think of that in the comments down below. Next game to predict is Stoke versus Millwall. So Stoke have actually picked up their form a tiny bit. A great 3-1 win against Swansea in midweek there. Definitely capitalising a team not in great form. They've now been able to get a really good response from their previous poor form. Losing out to Blackpool in the weekend was a poor result for them. So a good midweek result has really helped them there. In terms of Millwall, as I said, a brilliant result for them against Burnley in midweek, and definitely a team I think we should not underestimate whatsoever. I've already explained what I feel about Millwall with my Burnley preview, but I think Gary Rowett does deserve a lot of plaudits. I think a budget like Millwall have no right to be as well and as high of a position of the championship table that they are. He's doing a stellar job there. As a prediction, however, for this game, I think it's going to be really, really close. I don't see much edging. Mill picked up a bit more consistency with their away results. Stoke can always pick a result on their day. They've got improved options going forward. But I'm going to go for a 2-1 victory to Millwall. I think they may scrape something here. Let me know what you think of that in the comments down below. Next game to predict is West Brom Middlesbrough. So I've already mentioned briefly about Middlesbrough playing West Brom. They do play West Brom at the Hawthorns, and this, I think, will be a very important game. If West Brom do get a good result here, it does give them a really good chance of entering into the conversation to get into the top 6. But if they're not careful, West Brom will start losing ground. I think a bit similar to Norwich. Both Norwich and West Brom are going through good and then bad spells as well. And that lack of consistency is really costing them for what I think they're both capable of with their squads that they've got right in front of them there. They've gone through a pretty tough time quite recently, although they have played relatively tough teams in their last couple of games or so. And it doesn't get any easier when they play the most informed team currently in the championship in Middlesbrough. I think it's going to be a really, really tough contest for them there. Michael Carrick doing a brilliant job, and he'll have second place in sights as well, knowing that Sheffield United also have a really tough game as well. And if he can edge Sheffield United in some way in that game compared to what they've got to do against Watford, that would be a huge victory gained from Middlesbrough and Michael Carrick. Chuba Akpom is in brilliant form right now, already above 20 goals this season. I think he could be on course for 30, which, considering the profile of player he is, that is unbelievable to have that breakout season like that. As a prediction, I think we'll see a flurry of goals, a bit similar with West Brom, who've been also involved in the 5-goal thriller against Watford. I think we'll get another 5-goal thriller here. I'm going to go for a 3-2 victory, but to Middlesbrough. I think it's going to be a really close game, but I just think that extra bit of confidence that you get in your recognised striker can carry Middlesbrough over the line. And they've been taking good results against these good teams away from home. Good result against Norwich. They've managed to get a good result against Sheffield United away from home. So they're definitely capable, Middlesbrough, of getting these away wins now. So I'm going to go for a 3-2 victory against West Brom. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. And the final game to predict is Swansea-Rotherham. So, Swansea, one of the worst informed teams in terms of the Championship at the moment. There's a really good stat about Swansea from the Second Tier podcast, so I'm going to give them a shout out because I'm kind of nicking their stat here. But Swansea have only won 4 of their last 20 games. But this is the twist. 3 of those 4 games involved the opposition team getting a man sent off when the scores were a draw. Unbelievable. So the recent one I can think of, 1-1 between Blackpool. Blackpool go down to 10 men. Swansea win 2-1. So Swansea have had 3 of those in their last 20. Of course, 3 of them turned into wins, which, yeah, they capitalised of an extra guy on the field. But only 1 win in 20 with 11 versus 11. That is shockingly bad for Swansea. I'm sorry, but that is not good enough. And I know Martin's going through a bit of a project with Swansea with the way he plays, with his philosophy. But how long do you let this run? Because I do think Swansea are in that position where they're not really struggling, but they're just kind of stuck in like a mid-table mediocrity, if I gotta be honest. Rotherham picked up a fantastic bloody win against Sunderland in midweek. I did not see it coming, but they did. They managed to get a 2-1 win, and they have given themselves a really good chance. And they've proven to me, Rotherham, because I did say in my prediction, in my midweek predictions at least, that if Rotherham can pick up these wins, they are showing that they can have consistency and the bottle to stay in this Championship League. And I do think in the Championship, Rotherham are showing to me that they do have that determination this time. As a prediction in this game, I could predict Rotherham to win, but I'm actually going to say, with both teams not scoring too many recently, I'm going to go for a 0-0 draw here. So I've not predicted too many 0-0 draws. I feel like you have to. So I'm going to go for a 0-0 draw in this one. But I personally hope we don't see any 0-0 draws because, I mean, who wants to see that? So guys, that is my predictions done for the Championship. Of course, at the start of the video, I showed you my Premier League predictions. Make sure you smash the like button in this video if you enjoyed it. Please do let me know in the comments down below what your thoughts are for this weekend. Please smash the like button so 30 likes is the target. Please do hit the subscribe button as well in the bottom right corner. Socials are down there too. Please also share the channel as well. All of those things really do help the growth of this channel. So that wraps it up for me. Thank you guys so much for watching. You guys are legendary if you're joining in this video. And as always, I'll see you guys soon. Take care, everyone.